What's going on, friends? Well, I'm here. I built this box. It's just kind of a mini greenhouse for the lavender starts. It's out of simple stuff. This is just a regular pallet. This is some old, I think it's cedar that I had laying around. And I got this 60% shade cloth. And the box itself kind of faces southwest-ish. And so that's good for morning sun. And doesn't get too hot. Then once noon hits, it's kind of directly over and it's pretty much out of the sun. The key is just to keep it watered. So with these are super blue. These are super blue. They're doing really well. I started these, I think it was back in March maybe. And what I did was look, it's got a bud on it already. Interesting. Anyway, I cold stratified these. So which means I took the seeds and put them in a wet towel and put them in the refrigerator for, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks. And so what that does is kind of mimics winter, and then when they come out, it essentially tells the seed to come out of dormancy. So that helped with those. But these are Munstead, which is a different cultivar than the Super Blue. But I direct seeded these recently. That's why you don't see any green. But I just wanted to kind of do a test to see how there's some thought out there that you don't need to cold stratify lavender. I think virtually most things would do better if you cold stratify them. So I didn't just to kind of test it. I was gonna do this cultivar not cold stratified. So I did these, sowed this about a week ago, and so far there's nothing visible yet, but I'll keep on watching it. And I try and water this early in the morning so it can dry out through the day, and then the sun goes away after about noon. So anyway, they're going good. Simple thing. This is some PEX plumbing pipe that I just got from Lowe's. Just kind of draped it over or bent it over to allow for the shade cloth. So now let me take you out and show you the bees. Just fascinated by how many bumblebees are on the lavender. They're doing great, pollinating everything. Let's go on out there. So these lavender plants are covered up with bumblebees. And so I thought to myself, why is it that bumblebees are so prevalent in lavender and not honeybees and not butterflies? I don't see a lot of butterflies, which is kind of surprising, but it's very, very interesting, these bumblebees. See, they have extremely long tongues for a bee. And so they like the lavender because they can get their tongue down in between those little buds and get all that nectar. So they love lavender. So honeybees don't have as long of a tongue. I think and bumblebees can go from, they can fly up to, that little feller can fly up to 2 miles. 2 cotton picking miles. Boy, you'd think he'd be tired, don't you? Well, I'm sure he is. But yeah, it's very interesting. And also, if you didn't know, the male bumblebees prefer to stay on the flowers at night, whereas the females go back to the hives. And in case you didn't know, their hives are kind of underground. They like to be under porches. They like to be in old stumps and stuff. And I found a perfect one where they'd like to be. Back in here, this is where the females like to hang out. So they go back to their shelter at night because they have, there are some predators that like to eat bumblebees, birds and skunks, possums, those little things that come out at nocturnal stuff. They like to come out and eat bumblebees. So, but yeah, very interesting about these bumblebees. I never knew that they had such long tongues, and that's why they make it such, they really kind of gravitate towards lavender. And they have little fine hairs on their legs or on their feet and bodies and stuff like that. And that's how they pollinate everything. So they get in there, they get the nectar, they rub up against each of the buds and the flowers, and they move on to the next one. And inadvertently go ahead and pollinate different plants and flowers. So there they are, they're just doing their work. Those are probably the males. Now, they will sting you. Be careful, but they don't mean to. They would just soon not be confrontational. If they sting you, it's because you bothered them and they felt threatened. So, but just be careful of that. A bumblebee's day starts early. As the sun warms the nest, the first workers emerge, their bodies shivering to generate enough heat for flight. The air is cool, but time matters. Nectar waits for no one. The bee's morning is spent foraging. She targets flowers with high nectar rewards, using her memory to revisit the best spots. Her fuzzy body brushes pollen from bloom to bloom, a byproduct of her hunt for sugar-rich fuel. She's methodical, land, probe, drink, move on. Competition is constant. Honeybees, hoverflies, and other bumblebees are after all of the same resources. She's efficient, but not aggressive, rarely wasting energy on flights. By midday, the bee returns to the colony. She unloads nectar and pollen, passing it to nestimates who process it into food for the queen and developing larvae. There's no idle time. After a brief rest and a cleaning, she's out again. The afternoon brings more foraging, sometimes miles from the nest. She navigates by landmarks and the sun, adjusting her route as flowers are depleted or weather shifts. As evening cools the air, she heads home. The day ends with grooming, feeding, and sharing warmth with her colony. Tomorrow she'll repeat the cycle, driven by instinct, shaped by necessity, and always on the move. And got to protect them. I do like honeybees though, because I like the fact they can make honey. But these bumblebees sure do have a place in the lavender field for sure. So, thanks for tuning in. Happy planting and happier nursing. Talk to you soon.